Good afternoon, everyone. We'll give everybody just a couple seconds to join today. And again, I want to welcome everybody that's joining in. We're going to give everybody just a few moments to jump into our session today. All right, we'll give it just one more second and we'll kick things off. Hope everybody's doing great today. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome. My name's Brian Doyle. I'm one of the co-founders here at VCIO Toolbox, and every Tuesday, we like to do these coaching sessions where we open up the floor for any questions at the end. Generally in these sessions, we'll pick a topic. Today's topic is a little bit deeper dive on the Whitespace analysis tool, which allows you to kind of measure alignment against your tech standards and look for cross-sell and upsell opportunities. And while we introduced the Whitespace a few weeks ago in one of our sessions, today we're really going to get into it, understand how you can do customizations, how you can make adjustments to your template so it mirrors what you want to do within your tech stack, how to conduct the audit, view your scorecard, and then more importantly, how to look at the dashboard so you can make use some of the analytics that we provide to take some actionable steps with your business and really approach your customers in a more more uniform fashion as it comes to cross-sell and upsell opportunities. So with that, I'd like to welcome all of you for joining, and we'll jump into the training today. So as we come into VCIO Toolbox, for a long time, we've had what we call the tech stack template available to you within the system. The tech stack template in the early days of the operation would allow you to measure against your customer's tech stack. But what we're doing today is really looking at how to utilize it in a way that gives you some actionable business analytics and can help guide your sales and marketing activities. So what I'd like to do first is jump over here into our tech stack area. And you'll see when we come into the tech stack review, you've got your tech stack template. When I click on the manage section here, it will bring you to your topics. Now, inside your existing instances, if you're a customer of VCIO Toolbox, you will have a sample tech stack template. You're certainly free to utilize that, but my guess is you're going to want to make some customizations and really make sure it adheres to your own tech stack. So what you'll see first and foremost, as in any of our templates, very easy to make modifications. Everything is drag and drop, so you can reorder items. If you want to add new topics, it's simple as giving them a name and adding them to the tech stack. Over here on the right-hand side, we've got the individual questions that are associated with the tech stack, server brand, virtualization brand, and so forth. And notice that you can really amend these questions to work the way you'd like them to. So I'm going to dive in here to one of the questions so you can get a better sense of what they're constructed like. So when you come in here, you can identify what you want to assess as part of your tech stack. Now here it says server brand, but this can be any element of your tech standards you're trying to align your customers to. Then we have a simple question. And most folks are going to the list option here and putting a list choices both of assets that they support and assets they don't support. That way, when they look at the tech standard results, or excuse me, tech stack results, they not only are able to identify very quickly what the tech stack misalignment is, but what the existing infrastructure looks like. Now, unlike some of our other templates, the why we ask and the question, weight, and maturity level are not required, because this is basically a single maturity level assessment. Now, when I save the changes here, you will see that it brings me back out to the question. So I've made my adjustment on what the standards are, and I've aligned to my standard. And now I can create recommendation choices. Now in my template, I've already built one, so you can see what it looks like when constructed, but you would build a simple recommendation that's basically whatever you'd want to call the upgrade project to the tech standard that you want to align to. So whatever that hardware type is, service type here, you would basically build out that recommendation. And our best practice is to leave all the services at $0 because you're going to want to change those quantities, obviously, depending on the size and the scope of the question. You're going to have some additional upgrades you need to do. And you can do edits like I just did there, where I was missing an H for HP servers. Now that I've created my recommendation choices, you do have some other options you can leverage here within the template. If you want to create a how-to item for your end users so they understand how to obtain this information, you can do so. I'm just going to put a simple one in here so we can show it to you for demonstration purposes. Actually, that's really the first step. So I come over here and I might put in a simple set of directions, look at the asset and the RMM. But I'm at least giving some general instruction to the end user on where they can find this information if they're unaware. So this is basically how we can structure the template. And as I mentioned earlier, you really want to take this template, come in here, look at your tech stack, build your topics to match that tech stack that you have. If you do want to move things between different topics, this gray button over here on the side will open up those different topics, and you could move questions. So if over time you consolidate different tech stack standards or different pillars of your tech stack, and that's what we're going to refer to the topics from here on out as pillars. You can make those adjustments very easily within your template. It's very flexible. Now, another thing that's new since our last release is we have some new scoring systems available to you. So when I come back in here to my tech stack template, I'm going to go in here and choose my scoring system. Now, for those of you that are using our standard scoring system, standard BPVR, that stands for best practice, vulnerability, and risk. That is, of course, still available to you. That is our standard business review. But we did have some customers that were looking for more average-based. So you'll see that we have two different other types of average-based scoring: average risk and average best practice. What those really mean is it'll take an average of each topic and then take those topics and weigh them equally and create an overall average score. The difference between risk and best practice is just your answer key will then allow you to determine, does this pose a risk or does this cause a deficiency against best practices? Down below that, you've got average, all points, risk, and best practice. What this does is looks at the weighted values of all the questions, basically uses the weighted values of each questions to assign a points value. And then every time you answer a question incorrectly, it takes the commensurate points value off. So this would be, think about it this way: if your total weighted value of all your questions was 300 points, and you wanted to have a scoring system of 100, it would take that 300, make each individual weighted slice, if you will, worth a third of a point. So basically, if you had a question that was at a 5 value or maximum severity, you would basically be taking off a little bit more than a 1.5. If you had something rated as a 1, you would be taking off a little bit less than, or about a third of a point. So that's really what the average all points does. I'm using average all points best practice because really here we're adhering against best practices. Now, if you do like the CIS average answer key, you could leverage that here, but it's not a customary one to utilize over here in QBR. So again, you're going to want to set your tech stack review template with what that is, and then you're going to come back up here, and now it's time to conduct our assessment. So I'm going to go into my customer over here, and I'm going to create my meeting type. Now, when I come in and create my meeting type, I'm going to choose the tech stack review. I'm going to then name this tech stack, maybe 2023, or if I'm doing it annually, whatever the case may be. And now I've created that tech stack meeting. I can create a ConnectWise ticket if I so choose, or a PSA ticket as well. Now, when I come in here, I'm going to want to select that tech stack template. And here you see I'm getting an error. And that's simply because I've not yet aligned my tech stack template with this customer. So now I come in and do this. And now I'm able to do my review. And this is really where we start moving into how we're going to use this to generate new revenue, and how we're going to do this to really understand where our customers are positioned and postured against our tech stack alignment. So when you come in here, you'll see that we have a variety of different questions. What's the brand of our client server? HP is our standard. Let's assume that positive here. What's our virtualization vendor? VMware is our standard. Let's assume here it's Microsoft. I would then say it's not meeting my best practices. I could add notes here, but this being an internal report, it's not required. And then I'm going to come down here and build my recommendation. Now I can look at my existing recommendations to see if I already have a project to align to that was already built maybe during the QBR or GRC phase. But I would come here first to make sure that I don't already have a project that would satisfy this alignment requirement. If I don't, I'm going to come in here and either choose my suggested, or of course I can build a random one if I need to. Now, when I choose my suggested, I've got a few things I got to do. I've got to categorize it. I've got to put a timeline to it. So I'm going to say this will happen in August. And I've got to put a price to it. So I'm going to just use some round numbers for the purposes of display. 2,500 here, 1,000 here, and I'm going to save that. Now, if I go to my next one, I can answer accordingly as I go through here and so forth. And I'm going to do this for all questions as I go through the assessment. Now, when I'm done with this assessment, I'm able to generate a report. I can come in here and just hit my full report summary as an example. Actually, I don't need the full report summary. I just need the IT review summary. And I can see my stack scorecard. I can see what gaps I might have against my tech stack review. Oops. Actually, maybe I do want the full report summary. I apologize for this. I'll see my gaps and I'll see my roadmap here. So I get a sense of what the upgrade path looks like. But that's only a part of the equation. This is really giving us the opportunity to see what the upgrade value is for that customer and that customer alone, as well as a scorecard for that customer and that customer alone. But now when I transition over to the key account management module, here I'm able to go into a report and really inspect my white space analysis and see across all my customers who's compliant and who's not compliant. Now you'll notice up here in Able Manufacturing, which was the customer I was just using, I've yet to record any scores. One critical step that you need to do when you're building a tech stack assessment is you need to close the review. So you will come over to under the More button, you'll hit Close. You'll update the results summary, and then you'll archive off that meeting. Now, when you come over to CAM and look under reporting, you'll see exactly what occurred within that tech stack. So here in the case of Able Manufacturing, my first customer, overall they're scoring 90 against their tech stack. The only area of non-compliance they have is under virtualization, and the value of that upgrade is $3,500. So as you can see here, when we go through our different customers, we're really able to visually see who's compliant and who's not compliant in what areas, and what's the value of the upgrade. Now, that said, the value of the upgrade could be just a product or service cost when it's a non-recurring project. But when you look at things like endpoint security and security awareness, those are the recurring level contract values for that customer. So in each one of these, I built those contracts to be single year. So if you go down this endpoint security column, you'll see that with Max Motors, I've got a potential upgrade of $1,850 for the year. With next generation rockers, it's $11,000 for the year. For knockoff shop, it's $1,440 for the year. So what it's really giving is kind of a summation value of what the value of the contract is and what the value of the project is. Now you can go out and really arm your sales teams and tell them, look, one of our first goals is to go out and capture as much as we can and get this screen to green, right? So we want to really work with our account managers and BCIOs to make sure that we're hitting these non-tech standard items first if we can within our roadmaps, as they will also improve or lower the cost of your support overall. So we can generate new revenue on the one hand and hopefully reduce cost on the other hand. Then you'll notice that each column, and if you look up top here, you'll see each one of my tech stack elements is broken down, and any of the products that sits within each tech stack element sit below it. And again, if this expands out beyond the screen, you would just end up with a scroll bar. Down below, I'm able to see the total opportunities available to me across all customers just for tech stack alignment. And then I'm able to see what the value is per pillar, right? So now I can really see where the most bang for my buck's going to come. So if I look over here under servers, I can make $57,000 in revenue over here in servers. But over here in EDR, I can make $27,000 worth of contract value. So I may say to myself, for the next quarter, we're really going to focus on EDR. Not only are we going to have our account managers potentially go after those opportunities, but we're also going to push it over to our marketing teams as well. And we're going to build some marketing campaigns to bring awareness to EDR, get it kind of top of mind for the customers. So we're kind of setting the table for our account managers to go in and have those conversations with your clients. So this is a great scorecard to really get a good view of your customer base, how they are looking from a tech stack alignment perspective, who's compliant, who's not compliant where, and where you can make the most bang for your buck. So really, really good tool for helping you uncover some low-hanging fruit revenue opportunities and really allowing you to engage your customer and hopefully reduce your support costs. So very brief training today on this concept, but I'm seeing more and more of my customers really gravitating to this white space analysis with the concept of get to green on this page and really working with their VCIO teams to make sure that they get these projects into the roadmap, adopted, and that they're working towards getting those dollars back to your company and reducing those support costs. Over time, you'll be able to measure this. The reports are downloadable in PDF format as well, so you can share these internally. You can bring them into other operational meetings as well to see if you've got any supporting tickets that might help with, generating some of this revenue as well. Really, it's just good analytics to help you have those conversations both internally and externally to get you where you want to be. And this is the latest and greatest of our cross-analytic tools. The month before, we introduced the global scorecard, which really allows you to see all your different customers' business reviews, who's above the line and who's below the line in terms of, average, where they sit against your overall average score and capabilities there. And we're able to track those security scores in the same fashion. And then finally, we're able to do our meeting cross-section as well and really be able to keep track of where all of our meetings are month by month, year by year across all customers, filtering on different states. So we're really trying to help you see the picture here in key account management module of the big picture, right? What your customers are doing across all areas. And of course, we close it out with our global forecast, which is our overall sales pipeline. Here we're able to see year by year and month by month exactly what projects are coming in for each customer. So with that, I'm going to ask if there's any questions on the table. If you do have any questions, we can pop them into Q&A. I see here, Harris, thanks for the question here. What types of reports are available that are client-facing? So this is a great example of where I'd use a couple different reports for client-facing capabilities within here. So if I go here to next generation rockers, I'll probably have to create my tech stack just to get that data back up again, because this one was closed. And I come in here. The most standard report that I could say you can leverage that's pre-built would be the scorecard as one component of it. to give you kind of a sense of where you're not aligning well against some of your infrastructure measures. And then I would use your technology roadmap with that so you can show the customer where those projects live. Now, in the report designer, I think there's even a bigger opportunity. When you come into the report designer, we can build a report called Tech Stack. And we can add different elements to this report. I can bring over one of my cover page offerings if I want to. Then I would come into the QBR area, and I would probably grab a couple simple reports here for this one. I would probably grab my scorecard advanced. So I've got the full scorecard element. I would do a gap analysis summary so I can see exactly which things are not adhering to tech standard. And then I would probably just bring in my recommendation grid, which would have those supporting upgrades. And now when we build this report, and I go back up to my customer, I've got a very simple report we can share with our customer if we do want to share this with our customer. And it looks like this. Now, I didn't place any page breaks or anything like that. So if you see some formatting, just kind of understand you can make those corrections. But when I come in here, I've got my cover page. I now bring in my scorecard to illustrate where we have issues. I'm able to show exactly which of the questions have gaps versus the ones that were answered correctly in a very succinct view. We're able to look at those things. And if we do add any notes, those notes will be obvious there. And then I'm able to bring in my recommendations grid. Now, in this case, it's bringing in everything from the pipeline. We are working on giving you the capability just to flag the ones that are tech stack ready here as well. But this would be the customer's overall pipeline. And because I use this one as my demo often, it's gotten a little large. But you would just see those recommendations that were tied here if you're doing a tech stack solo. So that's a very simple report that we can utilize. Hopefully that is something you're looking for. And I will send out to everybody that attended today kind of a one-pager that tells you how to construct this report as well. Any other questions, concerns, thoughts that you'd like to go over before I open up the floor for Ask Me Anything as it relates to tech stack and Whitespace analysis? Well, with that, I'll open up the floor for an Ask Me Anything period here. If you have any questions, whether they're related to the Whitespace analysis or anything else within VCIO Toolbox, please let me know. Harrison, if you were looking at reports that go beyond just the tech stack and you're looking for other client-facing reports, I suggest you and I grab 15, 20 minutes and get together and we can build a few reports within your custom area. Some of the standard reports I like to see built, to share with my customer. I'm not sure if we did that during onboarding or not for you. All right. Perfect. Any other questions I can answer for you today, guys? I know we've done Whitespace a couple times in the month, but we've really been seeing some traction here. So we wanted to do another coaching session on it today. If you do have any other questions as you break away or have anything you want to share with me one-on-one, please feel free to email them to bdoyle@vciotoolbox.com. And I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. If you've got something you'd like us to cover here in the coaching sessions, please drop me a line to that email address. Again, bdoyle@vciotoolbox.com. I'm always open for suggestions on what to bring out here for coaching. I love to bring different things every week. We've been doing it now for about a year. So we've hit a lot of our major topics, and now we're kind of going through and doing some other ones. So, or kind of repeating and refreshing some of the ones from last year. So please, if you've got anything you'd like me to cover sooner rather than later, we'd love to hear from you on that as well. And for those of you that are attending, if you aren't aware, we do put all of our office hours recordings up here into the university. You'll be able to come up here and get to any of those videos and be able to watch them on your own time as well if you can't join us here in the meeting. So with that said, I'm going to thank everybody for joining me today. I'll give you a few minutes back in your day, and I'll look forward to seeing you all next Tuesday. Take care.